Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Francesca Zampollo and welcome to this third live webinar for this new series, Spring Summer 2018. This is our second series. I am the founder of the online School of Food Design, where you can learn food design, and from the online School of Food Design, the idea of creating this series of webinars was started. So the purpose really of this series of webinars is to talk with people who do the food design, who are food designers, who are eating designers, who are sustainable food designers, who are food thinkers and food innovators. And for that reason, and for us to learn from there and share ideas and questions and have a chat together. With that purpose in mind, today we have Anna and Vanessa here. Here they are from We Crave Design. They are based in Madrid, Spain. And in a moment, I will leave this virtual floor to them. Before I go there, I just want to remind you guys that to those of you who are already watching, just jump on the chat room and say where you're from, because we always like to, know where people are from within this planet. And so what time is it there? Are you eating? Are you drinking? Here is time for a cup of tea. We Crave Design and are in the same time zone. Let us know where you are, and also let us know what is your involvement in food design. Are you a food designer? Are you studying food design? Are you a a chef who's interested in the design part of food design? Are you simply somebody who enjoys giving exceptional dinners to your friends? Brilliant. Just whatever your involvement within food design is, let us know. Jump in the chat room and let us know. Also, while during this webinar, whenever you hear Vanessa and Anna say something interesting that you want to ask a further question on, just ask it on the chat room, and I will read it out loud to them. So just feel free to jump in whenever you want. Okay, having said that, I am thrilled to have these two lovely ladies here today. I think their work is very interesting. We could say that they are relatively young. As We Crave Design, right, girl? We could say that you're relatively young in the world of food design, but not necessarily as designers in the world of design and as creative people. So my first question to you girls or ladies is to just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are as a person and as a food design thinker, and tell us a little bit about We Crave Design and how it came about.
Okay, so, well, hello, Francesca, thank you for having us. And I'm Vanessa Redondo. I'm an architect and a conceptual designer, and also the founder and creative director of We Crave. I think We Crave was born from a personal passion of making different creative disciplines interact and using design and mostly creating experiences as a way to communicate with the user feelings. And I'm also have been all my life addicted to food. So that's how at some point food became a material in our work.
Completely relate to that.
Yes, well, hi, my name is Anna, and I'm a material science engineer, and I am crazy about food. I'm always inventing things with food, specifically maybe because I'm always on a diet or trying new things. But this has pretty much go where I am right now, which is finding someone that shares more or less the same passion, a group of people that are very creative, and at the end when we get together, we start creating these amazing things related with food. And as a product designer as well, I try always to focus myself on designing tools that we will later use for our experiences and for the dining experiences in general.
That's right.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Actually, there is somebody in the chat room. His name is Diego, and he says, Diego from Madrid. I had a food experience with We Crave Design, and this experience grew my interest in food design. So already, girls, you are spreading the food design joy out there with your work. Fantastic. And thank you so much, Diego, for writing and for being here with us today. So my second question.
Good.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So my second question for you today is, because it's something that we all are always asked in the world of food design, and even though I'm asked this question many times myself, I'm never tired of answering it, and most importantly, I'm never tired of hearing other people's answer. So my question to you is, what is your definition of food design?
Okay, first of all, hello, Diego.
Hi, Diego.
our number one fan. Yes. Well, food design is a new polemic way of transforming and breaking schemes of what millions of years of evolution has transformed into what we know as eating and the art of eating, the action of eating. And well, maybe we can say that food design is right now what has evolved. Like what we have today is what these years of evolution has brought. But it's still in transition of what like our point of view, and it's something that people are currently digesting. But I think that
well, I have for me it's complex to give a definition to food design because I see that's a really big system. But I always like to remember people that food is the core material that we're working with, and that food it's a material that is alive and that we will put inside of our bodies. So we as designers have to also think about the consequences that what we are doing will have in the user's body. And I like to define food design as a philosophy or a space where you create interactions between people and the space and the food. So you discover like new gestures. We understand what, why, and how we eat. And I think it's a great platform to communicate ideas for change.
Yes, it's a way to change the way food is defined and how people perceive it. And not only like nutritional support for existence, but that it's actually something that we can develop interesting things around it.
I completely agree. I love your definition, and I actually love that to hear that you're still open to redefining your own definition and exploring and exploring the edges of food design and where it can go. And I think that also what you said about the fact that and I think this comes so well from you guys because you are eating designers, you design eating situations. You're very interested in the fact that food is something that comes in. Food is experience. Food is part of a moment that he's experiencing and defines relationships, etc. And I think this is actually one of the biggest teachings or interest points that we should pass to product designers, for example, food product designers. That is not just the product, but the product is just a vehicle, exactly like a food on a plate, on a dish is just a vehicle. So having said this, my question now is, what is the thing that thrills you the most? What is the reason why you wake up in the morning and you are happy to wake up in the morning and go to work?
To eat. No, I'm kidding. Well, as I said, I'm really interested in using design as a medium to transmit feelings to people. So I have always talked about creating products that have a soul. And with that, I mean that we can actually teach something, not only stay in the aesthetics or the materials of a product, but I also have a moment that really thrills me, and it's the moment when we are in the office as a team and we are trying to give shape to a new idea or we're working on a new concept. The first times we do the brainstorming For me, it's interesting because we are a multidisciplinary team where we have architects, photographers, material engineers, product designers, and so everyone has a different vision on the same concept. And I think I found that really thrilling to come back to work every day and discuss with them all day.
On this point, can I actually ask you a side question? Because I'm kind of anticipating the answer, but I'm trying to formulate the question in a way that doesn't anticipate the answer. How did this multidisciplinary team come about? Was it the fact that it was so multidisciplinary? Was it purposeful? Was it random?
I think it was, I always had that in mind when I started the studio, because I'm passionate about really having to not confront, but have a discussion with somebody that have a different perspective. And also I think it makes every product or everything we design much more rounded, no? Which it makes it have a soul. So it's not the same if I try to design a chair and I don't have somebody like Anna, who is a material engineer, and she will look for a material that is biodegradable. And so that interaction, or Ivan, another member of our team, who is more related to photography and visual design, he will always think on where does it fit, how does it fit, and maybe the proportions. So I think I did it completely on purpose, finding people that was open to work outside their campus and to learn from the others, and being like kind of product designer / engineer / photographer / architect.
And I love that you mentioned this, because within my experience, I mean, this comes from also many other design theorists. It is undeniable that the fact that multidisciplinary teams have a tremendous amount of power, much more a creative power than non-multidisciplinary teams have. And in fact, this is also a key point in the food design thinking methodology that I have been developing, to really spend time to select the right people. And I have a feeling that this is what you've done, to just sit there and say, what do I need? What do I want? What type of skills do I need? And then
it took time, huh?
Yeah, exactly, right? And then sometimes there is also a little bit of luck, that you just end up having around somebody that you want in your team because of their personality, but they also end up having the skills and knowledge that you need. So I think for all those of you out there who are thinking of starting or making their food design team bigger, or for those of you who are thinking of starting a food design project, a food design team, etc., take the time and aim at multidisciplinarity. So sorry, I interrupted you, Anna. Were you?
No, well, I wanted to add something, talk about what you were saying before, that I think that it's important that all of our team, we share the same philosophy. Like, we like to create things with a meaning and with a story. And this is pretty much what actually puts us together and makes us create what we've created. Because otherwise, I mean, I can give you technical properties, but the guy on the corner can give you technical properties as well, but he doesn't believe in what he's creating. So I think it's very important that we all share the same philosophy on what we create.
I actually have goosebumps right now, because I think that what you have said is one of the key things that divides a successful food design from other stuff. And in my food design thinking methodology, I talk about people that in the team that need to have the right attitude and aptitude. So aptitudes are your skill and your knowledge, and you want, again, multidisciplinarity. But as you have just said, Anna, the attitude is as important, the passion, the will, the interest. Yeah. And so absolutely, well done, guys.
Yes. Thank you.
So the one question that I always that I'm asking in this webinar series, because it's something that I'm very interested in hearing the answer to, is what, from your personal perspective, what you have experienced so far as food designers, but as human beings also, what do you think that food design can do? What can food design do for humans or for the planet?
Okay, well,
she's good at this.
Well, food design mainly can create experiences that not only entertain, but will also awaken senses that are not taken into consideration, that food is taken for granted. And I believe that it's our job, and we have the ability to engage people and make them more curious and conscious of what is happening throughout the development of a material that is simple, it's organic, edible, which is food. So
yes,
and educate people, as you said before, also.
Yes.
Into it. Yeah.
Yes.
So, if I understand correctly, you guys so far have done three. You as We Crave Design have done three. You call them food experiences. So
Yes.
3 projects as eating designers. By the way, guys, if you go on their website, which is wecravedesign.com, if I remember correctly, yeah,
Yes.
you will see that We Crave Design, they don't do only eating design, they also do product design and other things that maybe they will be telling you about later. But 3 main food experiences, as you guys called them. So the first one was called Incognito. So would you tell us something about it?
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna share.
We're gonna share
our screen so you can see.
Well, yeah, that one. Yes.
One.
So actually, it was the first time we were going to do something like that in our studio, and we were aware that the Spanish public is not used to it, so we didn't want to go so bold, and we started with a really basic concept that is this that you see here. That is that through our life, the brain has built a database relating colors to flavors. So every time we are presented with a food, we already have like a notion of how it will taste. And so before we try it, we know. And we wanted to break this habit. And we were talking about Incognito, bringing flavor black. And actually, the idea was for people to experience food not only through viewing them and already knowing how they can taste, but to make them smell the food or touch it or actually put it in their mouth without knowing what was it. And for example, Anna will explain to us now a bit how we achieve that.
Okay, so we not only serve the food, obviously we also create a kind of a mood and ambience. We take care of the lights, we take care of the way they are sitting, and which is something that I think characterizes our experiences, because people are not sitting on a table, on a round table or a square table facing each other directly. They are facing themselves, but with a space between in the middle. So if you come in a group of 4, for example, you will be separated, and you will have to talk to others, and we make you interact a little more with people that you don't know, maybe, or you do know, but it makes you like the food is the center of attention, the experience, the way it is served, the way that we use our dressing, the way that we use our all our props, and here we can show you some pictures.
Yes, for example, we also work with always having this type of menu where people will not know what they're going to eat. So we keep the intrigue until the last minute when they have the plate in front of them. And this one was one of the plates. We called it O Lagoon. And actually it was a onion soup, but the light was so low that the broth seems to be black, and the bread was also black, so people was getting closer and breaking the little cracker on top to actually know what was those food. Or this plate, for example, that Anna.
This plate has a funny story because we were one day in the office and we were brainstorming on what we were gonna serve, how we were gonna serve it, and everything. And Vanessa just said, like, I want something that wiggles and moves and I don't know, make it happen. And I'm like, okay, I will make it happen. So I started my research, and at the end we made this silicone plate that is very curious because it maintains its shape, but when you're eating it, you will always like touch the borders of the plate and it will wiggle. And it's funny because I mean, you think that the food is gonna fall or something, and it creates like this funny interaction between the person that's eating and the food, and it was quite a success. People were always talking about it after, and it was good.
Yes, exactly. Well, there are the more pictures, but that's happening, that's working.
Yes.
Yes. And you can see people was actually, well, I don't know if you can see it here, but people was actually asking us, is this like some kind of pasta or like some kind of, what is this that we're going to eat? And that was really nice, no? Because we didn't know if it was going to work, if actually people will know what they were eating or no. And seeing them play a bit with the food was nice.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. And so, what is it I wanted to ask you? Oh, yes. Just for those people who are maybe listening and are maybe new to this, are interested in starting to doing something similar, do you guys, you guys are not a catering company, right? You don't have cooking equipment, right? So you employ for the events a catering company, correct?
Well, sorry. Yes, actually, what we do is that we create a concept. We work around it, and we are all foodies in the studio. Maybe we don't have the technique to cook, but we are passionate about it. So we start brainstorming about how the menu should be and
the recipes,
yes,
and what kind of food we're gonna serve.
Exactly. And then when we have all this like setup, we talk to a cooker or a chef, and we ask them if he likes the idea, and if he does, we invite him to join us only for this moment, not only for
exactly.
the duration.
So that was my question. You design the dish, you design the recipe, and you design exactly how it's going to look like. And then you find a catering and a chef that is happy to go along with your design. And I'm then imagining then that the chef is gonna probably revise a little bit the dish in terms of maybe some flavors or whatever, and you co-design with them at that point.
Yes, exactly. We bring them like let's say half of the process, no? Because sometimes we have ideas. Like one time we said to a chef, we want a fish to come hanging from a pole, and he said, not possible, because the fish is going to break. And we said, how come on? It has to be possible. So
chefs have no imagination.
Yes, it's funny when we
you need the support of somebody who actually have a lot of knowledge in food.
And that shares a little bit the same crazy thoughts that we may have.
Right.
Not all of them are willing to. Most of the chefs are very traditional. So when you make a proposition like this, usually they're like,
right. But there are chefs out there who are going to have the right attitude, as we said before. So don't be discouraged, people. Just look for them and you'll find them. So fantastic. So the second project that you actually did, the second food experience, was the one that I got to know you with, and it was called Instincts, if I'm correct. So tell us a little bit about that project and what did people experience?
Yes. So. Here is Anna. Anna, it's pro this project because she's really mental person, so she was playing this one.
Okay, well, so instincts, we did it when the Madrid Fashion Design Fest was going on here in Spain, in Madrid. And it was curious how we got to the theme nature. One of the artists that worked with us during the whole project, he saw that we were always, like, our office is full of plants and that we work with nature always present. So he said that it was interesting, and we decided to work around this and emphasize on living with nature and not from nature. So we wanted to make people reconnect with, like, a primitive instinct that we all have hidden because of technology and because we believe we don't have time to sit down and think of where the origins of what we're eating and where it comes from, and we just eat it without thinking. So we wanted to the principal idea was to reconnect people and make them, like, be part of the process in which each plate was made. So here in this picture, you can see this was the first plate, and when they sat down, they received these. They had this setup.
Yes.
And well, if you want,
they had this setup, and this actually. What you see inside of the plate, it's like eatable
clay. It's
eatable
called
clay.
kaolin.
Yes, and it was a traditional way of cooking in the Peruvian and Chilean culture. So we confront them first to play with this. We give them some vegetables, and they had to play. And as you can see in the menu. Well, this was not the first dish because we didn't tell them exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have another dish, second one, that was earth broth sprouts, that it says twice buried, twice burn, twice taste. First with your skin and then with your tongue. So as you can see, it's important for us to make, like, a description that give them a clue, but not really. And we bring this long pot to the table, and
this is part of the scenery. Like,
yes.
each table had this garden in front of them.
I know working,
and it's not working, the video.
Okay, no worries.
And the main idea was for them to complement the salad and the plate that they had, and literally pulling out carrots and vegetables from soil. Of course, it was a clean soil, and they had vinegar with water and all these hygienic things that you need in order to create a dish. But it was interesting because people started eating with their hands, because it's the primitive thing to do. You just pull it out of the soil, and then you complement the salad, and you start eating with your hands. And you could see very, not old people, but these traditional people that started doing these kind of things, and it's nice to see that they are willing to break their habits and their way of seeing this, and it was fun. Also, there were
I was trying to make the video work, but I don't think I will be able to. Unless we put it straight from the.
Is the video embedded in a PDF?
Yes.
I might be, because of that. It's a bit annoying, Google Hangouts.
Yes, it can be,
Yes.
Yeah, but we have it here, so you can understand the first plate. Now I will put it big. No.
Yes. Here's a.
Wait, I'm back to Hangouts. It's a new technology.
It is live, so
yes, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was the first plate, and this was what people had to do, no?
Is it showing?
Wonderful. Yes, it's showing. Yeah.
So yeah, we make them play with the clay, made their own. Mira, again. No, there we are. No.
Yes, it's okay.
Make them do their own watia, and then we took them back to the kitchen and fired it for 30 minutes, and we bring them back at the end of the dinner, so they reencounter the first thing they did, no? Yes.
So it was their own vegetables. So they made the parcel made of clay. So they picked up the vegetables and made the parcel with clay, and then you guys cooked it, and then it went back to the table. Nice.
Yes. Each of them had to mark it with its name or make a shape or decorate it so they can recognize it when it came back to the table. No? And actually they were quite artistic. No, we were surprised of that people was really encouraged to do nice figures and to do drawings on the food.
Yes. Right. I think this is actually interesting. As soon as you give people the opportunity to be creative, people will be very, very creative. It's just that it feels that somehow, for some reason in this society, we've lost that part of our lives, right? Just triggering and playing with creativity.
Exactly.
Yes, and at the end we had a dessert. We would serve it with this little flower pot, and you can see here it actually has real soil, but on the other side it has chocolate soil. So we would make them eat soil. Like, you want to eat soil? Well, and we would just put the soil on the plate.
Yes.
And this plate is actually made out of soil, and it's a compostable plate.
Wonderful.
Yes. So everything is very nature.
Yes.
It felt like if you were eating from the soil, literally.
Exactly. The idea was to eat soil from the soil with flowers also.
Yes.
So yes, people was actually asking if they can eat the plate.
Yes, they wanted to eat the plate as well.
And then it was difficult for them to believe that the plate was made of soil, no? And that it will be compostable if you put it in the garden. They were quite surprised, no? And that was nice also to see that people actually value these kind of objects, but since they don't find it so much in the market, they are not buying them, no?
And did you guys make the plate yourself, or did you find somebody who makes them and so you bought them?
No,
no, we made them. We mostly do all the plates and all the things we use for the food experiences.
So you made the actual material for the compostable plate?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because
the perks of having a material science engineer.
That's why we have Anna.
Exactly. I mean, fantastic. Well done. So were those plates actually planted then somewhere?
Not right now.
No, they're not planted. But it's curious because during this food experience, we collaborate with an artist, no? Who was Masaki Hasegawa. And we tell him to draw, or we encourage him to draw his art in seed paper and actually sell it in small pieces and for an affordable price. There was 50 euros instead of 5,000 or 3,000 that his usual pieces will worth. So people can start also seeing art, not only as contemplative, but they can take the piece of paper and they can decide if they will plant the art, and they will end up with a little tomato or some kind of edible plant.
A way to link a little bit art and design and nature.
Wonderful. Yes. Wonderful. I actually think that you should plant those plates, though, somewhere. Since you already have a lot of plants around you in the office, you should plant it, and then you should follow up on Instagram and show people who have attended your dinner what those plates have actually become.
Yes, it's a good.
That will be interesting.
So you're showing the entire circle of
exactly.
Right. So your final project was called Cacao, and you actually finished this project 2 or 3 days ago. So tell us about it, and tell us how the project came about, what the concept is, and what people experience.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share again that we have pictures, and I think it's better to see the pictures instead of us. Okay.
Yeah, well, this one it's in English, but in Spanish, sorry, but we can translate it. But well, Cacao was also again a collaboration with a group of girls from London who have been doing a 5 courses meal around chocolate, and we thought it was a really interesting idea, but we could give it more content, and then we can actually teach people about cacao and about chocolate. So we did. We bring this experience to Madrid, their dinner, and we wanted to transport the guests through an imaginary journey where cacao plantation is without leaving the table. So we will do a menu where they will start from the pulp, then the fruit, the seed, the butter, 100% cocoa, and finally chocolate. So they will learn at the same time how do you get from the cacao fruit to chocolate, and they will learn all the culture and the ambience that cacao is actually, where is it growing, no? Where does it come from? And so it started more or less like this. When they came in, the first thing we asked them is to cover their eyes, sorry. And there was nothing on the table. And then Ivan, who's a really poetic writer in the studio, he will do a special, like a guided meditation to transport them to Venezuela, and specifically to Chihuahua, where cacao grows. And when they finish and they open their eyes, they will see this plate in the middle. And also they will realize for the first time clearly that they were like inside of a tent, kind of like a beach setting, yes. And yeah, and so the first plate was just the fruit, the cacao fruit in itself, that people, well, I think most of the people doesn't know it or have never tried. So yeah.
Yes, and I don't know if you can see in the picture, it's actually a cacao. It's it looks like what's around it, the plate.
Yes,
is we made it here in the studio as well, and it's a cacao shaped plate.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's like a combination between design and making it with real.
And the plate is made of glass?
It's made of, what's the name of the material?
Resin.
Anna is not so proud of this plate because it's made out of resin.
It's okay.
It's okay. No, the thing is that we were also, there was an artist doing the pieces in resin for this exhibition, for this food experience, but she was with the whole fruit, no? That looks like, now I don't know if you have seen, well, it looks a bit like this here, no? It's like this shape here. It's like a little gigantic money.
Like a peanut.
Yeah, oh, sorry. And we thought like, well, it would be really interested to serve people instead of the fruit in itself, to serve in the same shape of the fruit, but in a new material that they can actually
take home after at the end.
Yeah, and if you see through, because it's made out of resin, it has like this
the texture,
and you can see through the formation. Okay.
Yeah, you can
optic effect.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
And then on the second plate we had the seeds. So people started. Well, we explained how they process the seeds, that they put it like in this big space, open space, and they leave it there to dry. And they usually do patterns with the seeds. And this is like the artisan way of doing it, of course. And well, they simulated this in the table, and they tasted it, and they touched it, and they felt like the seed itself. And then at the end, of course, the plate would come, and they would taste it.
Yeah. So let's to recap, because I don't know if we explain it well. They will have 5 dishes, and in each dish they will try one part of the cacao that need to be produced before making chocolate. So the fruit, the seeds, then the butter.
Then the butter.
This one was my favorite plate regarding to the experience, but also the flavor, because it was a ceviche, and as you know, it's made out of fish. So we wanted to relate the fact that they were eating fish and that the cacao fruit grows in the line between the coast and the forest in tropical countries. So we wanted to bring the beach to the table. So we put a plate full of sand, and then we put this porcelain plate that we did in before for one of the experience that resembles a bit like the water movement or a really organic shape. And then the girls in the last picture you will see, they will come with this long black tube, which is an instrument that we have in Venezuela called palo de lluvia, and it resembles the sound of water, of rain. So instead of, that's the way we finish the plate, no? We give it to them, and you see how they all started playing with the sand under the food, and then when this moment of putting the liquid that was a final touch came, they were quite impressed by the noise, no? Because again, it's an instrument that is not known here in Europe, so it was something new that they were discovering.
So the tube has kind of 2 compartments. One with I think there are little stones or something that makes the sound, and then another part that would have the cocoa butter or oil or something, and they would use the tube to put the whatever liquid, butter or whatever, on the plate.
Yes, it's called leche de tigre, which is something that complements the dish, the ceviche. But yes, it's a liquid, and it's used like a...
Yeah, we have it here.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we did is like modified a traditional instrument we have to resemble the sound of the rain, but also modify the top part with the liquids to put a container with the liquid so we can use it to serve.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, it was completely designed by us here because obviously that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, we had to do it from scratch because
well done.
Yes.
We don't have that here in Spain.
And the final plate, of course, was the dessert, and it was chocolate. And well, it was very interesting because one of the drums is something that is very traditional. Again in these tropical areas, and when we served the plate, people didn't quite understand what was going on and what they had to do. So, Annie, do you want to explain?
Yes, well, I love this sequence of pictures of the same person because we first come to a table and we put like the little paquet, and we leave them there with that, and they start playing with it because it's not a fork and they don't know where it's for. And then the plate comes with the little drum and some powder. So they start to realize they have to heat it, no, in order to maybe get to the food. And then they actually pick it up and discover that underneath there's the real food, and they have to just put the powder to complete the food, no? And we use also these plates that we did in a collaboration with an artist, Lucia Vera, because the woman is also important in the chocolate culture, no? And as you can see, you could see part of the picture, but you couldn't because you have the drum on top. So we knew that at some point they will pick up the drum to see what was the rest of the picture underneath, and they will discover the food and the woman, and it was interesting. It was actually they were really playful. Yes. And making comments on the images of the plates and making noises with the drums, like for us to dance.
No, and it's nice because the feeling that people usually have with this kind of experiences that we make is that they evoke a memory from their childhood, and they become a little bit more playful, and they start to interact and laugh, and they start sharing with the person that's right behind or in front or whatever, and and it's a nice way to interact between them. So it's nice to see people like laughing and enjoying the moment.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. And I love how it's clear from what you're showing us and describing to us that you have a very high attention to details, both within, actually, attention to details in the connection between the story, the theme, the non-tangible aspect of your eating situation, and the tangible aspect, the food itself, the location, the table, the vessels, etc. And with these regards, I really want to ask you, my next question is, it's about the vessels. So it's clear from what you have shown us that you always put a lot of interest and thinking and design in the food vessels, right? So food doesn't fly, so it has to stay it has to be presented somewhere or hanging onto from something. So the vessels are from our usual plates and glasses, or a fork or a spoon or whatever. But in your case, we have seen that they can be wobbly silicone plates, they can be compostable soil slates, they can be tubes, sound tubes, etc. So I want you to explain to us from your perspective, the reason why we should put, and I absolutely 100% agree with you, put so much design and thinking on the vessel, why it is important to co-design the food and the vessel simultaneously, and what the difference does the vessel make to people experience. In other words, if the soup, the onion soup or whatever other dish had been served on a white ceramic plate, what would have been the difference from your perspective in people's experience?
None. I mean, I think they will believe they're having a normal onion soup, no? And this is something I have actually think and investigate a lot about the relationship that the food container or the way you present it has with the taste. And I think until now, this concept have been kept in the famous chef restaurant, but I think we can take it back to our everyday life. And I like to use an example of Emily Baltz, who is also a food experience designer. And she always explained it to people, the difference in between when you go to a coffee shop, you grab a takeaway coffee in a paper cup and you start like sipping and walking and sipping. So, the coffee is giving you some energy and it's tasting good, but it tastes or it feels and tastes completely different. When you go to your home, you take a nice cup, you prepare your own coffee and you just sit and feel like the temperature. Maybe it's winter, so it's even nicer. So there's definitely a relationship. And for us, we of course we pay attention to the shape of of a plate, but more than the shape, we pay attention of how people is going to approach this object. Or so, like you were saying, no? For example, in the Instincts experience, they had this long garden pot with all the vegetables, and it was straight and nicely designed. But the idea was for them to actually came closer to it, no, and put their hands inside. So yes, I think it's when it comes to food experiences, it's or to making or wanting to transmit an idea to people with food. I think the plate has to become like the scenario the scenario of your idea. So we have to also consider that, and don't be afraid of making people do things. We had one time also, we didn't put them cutlery. So some people was like asking us like, where's the fork? How am I to eat? And we said, with your hands. And we had some people that said, okay, and some other people that said,
yeah,
no.
And it's funny because they started like looking for solutions. Okay, so I'm not eating with my hands, so I'm gonna take this little leaf and I'm gonna use it as a fork and I'm gonna eat it using it like it was a...
Yes, and then the plate was like a bowl and with a long side, so they can actually grab it, no, and eat more closely. So it wouldn't be the same if you put it in a flat plate. It would be a disaster to eat with your hands. So yeah, I think it's one of the, well, for me, it's one of the most important things you should keep in mind. No, how and where are you eating what you're eating to make a difference? If not, it will be a conventional soup or everyday coffee. No.
Yeah, and I also think that this is probably one of the most beautiful and rewarding, or just exciting aspects of eating design, because you guys get have the opportunity of designing one-off eating situations, and for some reasons, and so it's undeniable that you have this freedom, right, of redesigning cutleries and vessels and tables every time you have a new brief. But for some reason, I don't understand. Well, in part I do, but I don't understand why for chefs in the conventional restaurant scenario, this is something completely not doable. So yes, there is the monetary part of it. They can't possibly design vessels and cutlery and tables every night. There are some restaurants who redesign the environment and the menu every season, but I think there's a lot more that can be done, and that could also possibly could make the price of the dinner even cheaper. There are some vessels. There are ways to design vessels and cutleries that are
Edible.
Probably cheaper. Yeah, for example, having something edible. So I think it's something that is so exciting, and it's so important. It's such an important aspect of the food experience, of the eating experience, in my opinion, as important as the quality and flavor and texture of the food itself. That I don't know why it's not being explored a little bit more. I mean, just recently, for the first time, I've read this article, and this the only time I've seen something like this ever, of one chef that came out and said, why should all dishes look exactly the same on the plate on a restaurant? And all of a sudden was, right, why should they look all the same, right?
Yeah, it's true. This obsession of plating everything exactly the same.
So anyway, so what I wanted to ask you now is if you can share with us, because there are many people who follow my YouTube channel and follow these webinars who basically want to be like you guys and want to do what you do. So this is really, really inspiring to many of them, if not even educational. So in order to, with this perspective in mind, to talk to these people in particular, what has been your biggest challenge so far in your business, in your food business, and also your most rewarding moment?
Okay, well, I think one of the most important challenges that we've had is surprising the customer that is expecting to be surprised. So these people usually have their hopes very high, and it's very gratifying to see that at the end of the experience, they are actually surprised and they are happy and they enjoyed the experience to the point that they want to come to the next one, and they ask you, well, tell me when's the next, and we're like, let's finish the first one
I wonder if Diego is going to be one of these people.
Maybe Diego is one of them and we don't know. Well, just for me, the biggest challenge, it's because usually when we are doing the dinners, all the team is serving. I mean, ourselves, not waitress, because we want to interact with people. And I usually stay in the dining area talking to them and asking them, how does it feel? Do you like it? Or encouraging them to actually break a boundary, like eating with the hands. No, and it's I think any food designer should remember that eating is something natural, something that we do every day. So you should use your own perception of food as an instrument, no, as a knowledge to know how to design or how to approach people when it comes to food design. And I think that the most rewarding moment is that, no? Talking with people and they saying things like, wow, I knew I was coming to a food experience and that the show was going to be nice, but I didn't expect the food to taste nice as well. This was, but yeah, I guess they were expecting some kind of theater, but a hamburger, I don't know.
Yes.
But as I said, since we take in consideration every little detail, maintaining the food or the sensation that the food is going to give you as the main thing, we achieve actually people to be surprised in both ways, no, sensitive and also.
Yes, and since we don't judge people when they start asking and doing different weird things with what we are serving them, you see like a very pure reaction and a genuine, like they see it and they think that they have to put it in their head, so they start doing these different things, and it's nice to see this kind of reaction when you put something in front of them that is unexpected.
Yeah, and what you said is actually quite important because as food designers, as designers, we design, right? We design the type of experience that we want people to have. Instead, we need to be very aware of the fact that we design a way we would like things to go, but then people are people and we're all different and we need to be open, and the experience itself, the project itself, the table, the food needs to be open to different types of interpretation and interaction. So well said to you. So in the beginning, I asked you, what can food design do, right? But now I want to ask you, what do you think food design should do? So in this sense, I want us to think about the future. So in a future perspective, the people who want to design today. So we have people now. We have Ale from Chile, and we have Maxim from Russia, right? So we are there's people. Food design is somehow one language, but it's really not. We must have a planetary perspective. It's all of us. So in this sense, I always remember, right? We are people within a planet, and as people, we share. We are one another, right? We are the same thing. We are the same species, and we share this beautiful home. So if we think about the future, what do you think food design should do for people and for this home that we share?
Okay, well, food itself is a very powerful tool, just because the fact that everybody needs food to live and survive. So I believe it's something that makes us very susceptible to it. And taking this into consideration, I think that food should be, food design should be very conscious of the power it has over people and the emotions that this may cause, and in every level. And we should use this power, this tool, to develop it into making like a greater good. Because I mean, you can do so much with these, not with food itself, but with the meaning of food. It's like
yes, I think also, well, we did that phrase for for Insects Spirits, live with nature and not from nature. And I think this is something that food design should do. It should be like unconsciously in our mind every time we try to design something related to food, because as I also mentioned before, food, it's alive and it will keep being alive when we eat it, and it's inside of us. And I think there's a big challenge, for example, in the educating the customers, I mean the society, no? I have always questioned myself why something as natural as lettuce comes in a plastic bag. It doesn't make any sense, no?
Or a banana wrapped around plastic as well.
No sense.
But when you make, why don't we have in the supermarket like the fresh lettuce with the roots and a compostable packaging that has a little of water, and then like this it will last 2 weeks in your fridge, because we have it here 2 weeks, leaving lettuce in the fridge for one of the experience. So why? I think this it's. I will encourage a lot of people that like food and started in this field to go towards that direction, no? To try to focus in packaging and how we present products to the public in the supermarkets, because I think there we can do a big impact. And she's bringing a plant.
Yes, exactly. So you're talking about the fact that we have to live with nature. The sentence that you took from Instinct, I actually remember having goosebumps when I read it the first time, and I felt that my mint plant has a very big personality, and so I felt that she wanted to come in.
And she's really big indeed.
Exactly right. So I absolutely agree with you. And the example is this mint plant that I got her because I like mint leaves in my tea. Mm-hmm. And then I got so emotionally attached to her that now she's growing wild and I can't take any leaves from her. But, so having said this, I think that what you're saying is absolutely important, and what you were saying before, Anna, as well. As designers, I always say we have this responsibility, right? We are the maker of new stuff. So we have this responsibility of making stuff that is ultimately good for each other, good for us, and good for the planet. But as food designers, we have this responsibility, I think, even more, because we eat 3 times a day, as you said, and so we have even more chances to do good, to do better for this planet, for each other.
To teach people, yes.
Definitely, yes.
So I wanted to ask you, from your experience, since you have been designing for food experiences, for moments that in time that people have lived, from your experience, what do people want when it comes to food? So to those people who are going to put together dinner for their friends tonight or tomorrow, or for those people who are going to design an eating situation next week or next month, what do people want? What is the sense that you have from people when it comes to food? What do people want?
Okay, well, being very basic, most of the people want food to actually taste good. I think that's something that we can all agree on. But and
that's also very important, because when we talk about food design, we have to remember that, yes, we need to design the vessel and everything else around, but if the food isn't good, everything crumbles down. So absolutely, food is paramount.
But going a little bit more deep, I think people expect emotions. They expect to feel something when they eat. So I think that they like to evoke a memory, a sensation, and something that will make them talk about it after, once they've finished to enjoying whatever meal they're having, something that they can share with other people and comment about it.
Yes, of course, food is important, and also I don't agree so much, but people, it's the aspect of food seems to be something so easy to Instagram that people is really focused on that. But farther of the plating, which can be an art, as you can see in famous restaurants. What I said before, no, the ambience. The plate can have soil, can have smell, can have something that brings back a memory. And everybody has a memory with food, and that's really, it touches you, in the moment, because it reminds you to your childhood or to some food your mother prepared or any other situation. And so yes, I think people is looking for emotions, no?
Absolutely, and we are going to talk about memories with my last questions. But before we get there, I wanted to ask you again, talking to this audience that is looking at us now and will be watching this video. What is the number one advice that you could give to young food designers or young food designers starting this career, or seasoned food designers also?
Okay. Well, at first, I would say that food design is something that not everyone understands. Most of my friends and families, they don't know what I do, which is they're always like, I know you do something with food and that but they don't really know what I do until they leave it, of course. And I think that people may think that you're kind of crazy for what you do or what they think that you do, but you just have to think that you're actually, not to feel superior or anything, but you're one step ahead on looking something in a different perspective. So it's something that people, they don't understand unless they actually live it and see it. And we're just we just need to promote them to see it the way you see it. So I think that's
so don't give up.
Yeah,
don't give up, keep trying.
Exactly. And with it, and actually it is with food experiences like yours that you are enabling people to experience what is this food design thing, what is this eating design. So it's actually thanks to work like yours and the people who do similar work like yours that we spread the word and we make people understand what it is that we are actually doing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, I would say since food design is really, I see it as a complex system, because you start with the lettuce, but you can then talk on how they plant it. So always keep your thoughts in line, no? So if you're going to do packaging, focus on that. And if you're going to do production systems, you have to be able to see the bigger picture. But I think to make an impact and to actually change something, we need to focus on the little one and then work as groups, and we will grow for sure.
Absolutely. So the next question I wanted to ask you, and it kind of follows this one, what was your biggest achievement or discovery so far that you have done through your work, and that can be transformed into a teaching moment for designers? So what was your biggest achievement or discoveries or thing that you had no idea was like that before, but you have learned through your work?
Okay. Well, for me, more than an achievement, I saw it like a discovery. I have a background in science, and then I went to a creative background, and being a nature freak, I've learned that nature is way ahead of us and that we have so much to learn from it. And every ingredient has a story. Every natural source has a way of existing that allows you to create great things. And every person has a different way of a perspective around it, an opinion towards life. And I think that mixing these three is the perfect combination to actually create an emotion or something that can be as simple as food.
Yes, for sure. And I will reinforce that with for me, the biggest achievement or discovery, it's both things, is understanding the power that food had to create empathy with the people. No, that food is meant to be shared, to entertain, not only individuals but also big communities, and that that responsibility that we are having feels good, no? To when you put food in front of the people and they're eating, and at the same time you're telling them where cacao is from, or stop buying lettuce in a plastic bag and buy it like this in the soil. Since they're eating, they're really open. No, it seems like it's like a door. It's a connection that's so emotional that they immediately open themselves with no judgment to learn something new. So this empathy, it's something really powerful, I think, in the field of food design.
And so, how do you hope to influence the world of food design?
Well, definitely make people more aware of what they're eating, of where it comes, not like the surroundings, not only socially, but environmentally, the impact it has over these two factors. I believe once people become more conscious of this matter, they will start to enjoy and find more gratification in simple things, such as eating a tomato, and they will like feel these emotions around some things that they would just not even take for granted before, that they were taken for granted before. So
yes,
I think that the most important thing is trying to reconnect the people with with these simple things that keeps us alive.
Yes. Well, I for this, I think food has been around since the beginning of humanity, and it has created culture around it. No, so I like to think, or we have make a concept in the studio that we call feeding knowledge, that is actually working on that, no? Meaning working on using food to create a new culture, like we did years ago with recycling and being sustainable. Now it's time to take it also to food, because we will be more sustainable. I think we can also even improve the way we relate to people because of this empathy that we have with food. So yes, for me, it's teaching people. No, it doesn't matter if it's the 12 persons that fits in the studio at dinner, or just my mom. But I hope it gets bigger. No, because I think food is a perfect way to create culture, and we can get some updates nowadays in the culture. So
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about other people, right? It's about doing something for others. Otherwise, why are we on this planet? I wonder myself. So again, as food designers, we have these not only a responsibility, but we also have this resource, these skills and knowledge are a resource to spread a positive message, whether it's about the importance of memories and emotions and values, whether it's about the environmental sustainability, social sustainability, etc. Absolutely. So right now, we are, I think, and my last question, so towards the end of this webinar, more or less on time. I'm quite happy with the timing. Guys, I'm going to throw this out there. If you have questions for Anna and Vanessa for We Crave Design, just shoot, and so we will ask them. Otherwise, of course, you will be able to get in touch with them personally later on. But so with my last question, I wanted to go back to memories, which we mentioned before, and I want to bring these all back to our to the personal level, because as we said in the beginning, we are designers, we are food designers, but we're also people, and we are people designing for people. So just bringing it back to this level, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask to probably every person that I ever meet and with whom I talk about food design, which is to me a very personal question, a question that, if answered, opens the door to a person's soul and personal life and personal view of food. And so my question is, what is your most meaningful food and why?
Okay.
For me, it's actually my family is Spanish, but I was raised in Venezuela, so I always have a mixed culture. And actually, my favorite food it's Venezuelan soup, like vegetables and chicken soup. And the story behind it is that as we are Spanish in my house, or my parents and my grandparents were Spanish, there was a lot of cooking, there was a lot of eating, and there was the big moment of the dinner was to cook the meal together. So I will always pay attention and memorize the ingredients, the recipes, but actually I never paid attention how to prepare a soup, because I thought like, well, it's a gigantic pot full of water with a lot of things inside, ready. But when I came to live to Spain, I got a bit homesick, and it was winter. I wanted a soup. So I put my pot full of water and vegetables, and when I tried it, it tastes awful. So I said, oh, okay, it was not so simple. So I have to do a lot of FaceTime calls for them to teach me. And I realized, no, I don't take for granted something simple, because for sure there is like a process behind it, even if it's just a soup. That's it.
And for me, well, it's Venezuelan as well, and very typical for a Venezuelan to say this, but it's actually true. One of my most meaningful food is arepas. Arepas is a traditional dish in Venezuela. We usually eat it every day. Well, me in the case.
Me too.
And you can feel it. It's like a corn tortilla, but much better, of course. And it has, you can mix it with cheese, with meat, with vegetables, with whatever you want.
It's like a bread you can feel with everything.
And well, since I moved to Spain, I've created this nostalgic bonding with Venezuelan food. So every time I meet someone new, or I want to show them, like share with them a little part of me, which is Venezuelan culture. So usually when you make arepas, you make an event, and people come and they start to experiment with different ingredients, and this is where the curious part comes, because usually the people that I've met here have different cultures, different backgrounds, and they've never eaten an arepa before. So they start mixing things that I would have never thought of mixing it. Like the first time I did arepas here with Spanish friends, they put jamón serrano in it. And of course, now that I live here, it's normal for me to see that they eat it. But at first it was like, what are you doing? And then it actually tasted really good. So it creates this like familiar harmony thing going on, and it's really nice, because you feel like home, and you feel like you're actually sharing part of your home that you're very far away from. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Actually, I swear I have asked this question to another girl from Venezuela, and her most meaningful food was indeed arepas.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I'm sure it is.
I remember always Sundays in my house. Once when I just arrived, I told my friends, like, okay, let's do every Sunday. We do one food. One day arepas, the other guy was Italian, so pasta. And everything was delicious. But when I show them arepa, then they will call me and say, like, can we repeat Sundays arepas?
Yes.
You have it multiple times.
Yes, and learning how to do it with the.
They learn. It's fun.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, girls. And thank you so much to everybody who was here with us, and also to all those who will be watching this webinar as a replay. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you for participating, and thank you for taking the time and having this chat with us. There is maybe a question from Sabrine. So if you have a question, Sabrine, please go ahead and ask it now. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add to conclude, or whatever else that you want to add? Oh, one thing that you should absolutely tell everybody, how they can reach you, how they can get in touch, how they can collaborate with you maybe. I have very often requests for internships. So do you provide internships, etc.? So let us know.
Yes, yes, we do. We do provide internships.
Here we have our website. It's currently, the main page is Cacao, since we just finished our last experience. But you can see
everything we do.
Everything we do, the products, the food experience.
Yes.
Our space. We have a gallery here as well. So.
And let's remind, this is wecravedesign.com, correct?
Yes. Yes. And well, we are in Madrid, but we are also fans of traveling.
Yes.
So if you feel like you cannot come here to collaborate with us, we are completely open to go to another country for a period of time and create an experience there.
For individual project, yes.
Yes, for a specific project. And well, as I said in the beginning, I am passionate about making people and disciplines interact. So I think even if you are a periodist, a journalist, you could actually, and you love food or you love working with people and seeing how they interact, you can also apply, to work with us. As long as you are open to learn from everything, product, food, space,
and as long as you have the right passion to, to come in.
Yes,
the same passion.
Yes, but yes, that's a question. Actually, I think I did to all of them when they when I interviewed them for the first time. Are you open to learn also, even if you're a material engineer like Anna? Do you want to learn architecture? Do you want to learn graphic design? Because here we all do everything. No, we are like we like to do everything together. So it's important that you want to be multidisciplinary and don't be afraid to make mistakes and learn. I think it's important.
Yes.
Okay, so give me just a second. So Sabrine, if you have a question, this is the right time to write it and ask it. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you so much. So maybe there is a question. We have to wait because there is a bit of delay between what you and I, between our conversation and the chat room. So I think he or she is writing. So maybe wait a second. But you guys will send me links to your website, maybe an email address. Send me your Twitter and your Instagram, so I will copy these at the in the description of this video, so people can very quickly jump to your social network. So if Sabrina, your question is what is the website called? The website is called wecravedesign.com.
Yeah.
And if there aren't any other questions, then I am happy to, I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Sabrina, Vanessa and Anna for your time. Thank you for telling us everything about what you guys do and showing us your passion for eating design, for food, and for sustainability as well, and the contact with nature, which I think are the biggest probably like the biggest key point for you guys. Just I'm reading here.
It's Anna.
It's me.
No, I'm just reading
information that you asked for. For the webpage and Instagram. Okay,
so Sabrine, I'm sorry if you think we are disrespectful. I'm just saying that if you have a question, ask it now. And if the website that you're asking about is the website for We Crave Design for Vanessa and Anna, it's called wecravedesign.org, and I will put the link
No,
in the .com, and it's already actually in the description of the video, this link, and we'll also put the link for Instagram, Twitter, and everything else. If you do have Twitter, I don't even know, and we'll put emails where you can get in touch.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for thanks again. I think with these we are good to go. 1 hour and 25 minutes. That was very good of us. Well done.
Well, I can keep talking.
Well, me too. I could, but you know. Okay, so so thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for participating. Thank you again to We Crave Design, and I will see you next week for another webinar. And next week we will have another eating design group called Less Stable. They are from Lithuania. And then we have another webinar scheduled for July 11 with Lucas Posada from Colombia, who will be talking about his initiative called Cocina Intuitiva, I think in Spanish, or intuitive cooking. And then actually there are two more webinars that are scheduled, one for June 13 and one for July 4th, but I'm still waiting for a couple of things, and then they will go up in the website. In any case, if you guys go on onlineschooloffooddesign.org, you will see the entire schedule for this webinar. And if for some reason you are watching this webinar in 3 or 4 months, then still go on that webpage, because you will look for the webinars in the schedule for the next series, which is going to be September, October 2018. Thank you again, Anna and Vanessa, for your time. Thank you, everybody. And as always, have a lovely day and happy food design.